I saw this continuing effort to deceive the American people about the purpose of the war and the weapons of mass destruction chant I talked about earlier. Well, that war cost the American people upwards of $5 trillion. It cost 1 million Iraqi lives. It cost 5,000 American service men and women's lives. You know, where are we going with this kind of thing? Mm-hmm. What makes us think that we can continue to pursue a murderous conduct around the world and it's going to work out to our benefit? I don't know if that answered the question, but
yeah, no, I mean, it's obvious. I mean, this is back to the point before about how clearly Americans in a general sense are, you know, not just unhappy about this, like at the point to where, and this is kind of the point of like possible change, like you were pointing to there, is that clearly there's an opening where people are aware far more than I've ever seen in my life. We've talked about this in other discussions in the past, right? That clearly it's something that is changing. And that's why I argue this is a point of transition for the government, because we're in a point of transition for people, where we're becoming aware, we're asking questions we've never asked before. We're seeing through two-party illusions. We're seeing through, you know, the conversation of Zionism. These are like important, influential political dynamics that are being seen, discussed, ripped apart, that have never even been allowed to be discussed in the past, or, you know, that people weren't willing to look at. And I think that is such a powerful moment. But
it is. You know, there's something I forgot to mention. Ryan, right. Excuse me, there's something I forgot to mention, that I, you know, when I talk about Iraq, I poured my soul into fighting that, into trying to stop that war, into trying to limit it when it ignited, in trying to come up with a plan to end it. And by the time I was, you know, near the end of my service in Congress, I was exhausted challenging these wars in the government and thinking about all the innocent people out there lives were being cut short because of it. But the Democrats took control of the House in 2006 on a promise to end the war. They got, you know, they got the power, and they kept funding the war.
Right.
And this is the kind of stuff that goes on, where it's unfortunately like a fulfillment of the prophecy that was in a song by Simon and Garfunkel called Mrs. Robinson. And the lyrics are something like this: go into the candidates' debate, laugh about it, shout about it when you've got to choose. Any way you look at it, you lose. We cannot have a condition like that be maintained in America anymore. We have to, I think we need a third way, at least in American politics, to open up the politics of this country to a more independent position that's not tied to the false choice, which you've just alluded to, that's presented between Democrats and Republicans, particularly on foreign policy questions. I mean, there might be some difference on domestic policy, but the truth of the matter is you don't get to domestic policy if you're spending 80% of your domestic budget goes for the military. You know, this idea that somehow we can give people a vision of what America can be, and then we're still spending money for war. Right. Really? Oh, what a fake out.
Yeah. And again, I'm glad to see that people are seeing through that, you know, and so this is the point of that transition where we have like a BRICS from an international perspective. We've got domestic elements of transition, you know, network state conversations, like, you know, all these different things, whatever, you know, who's to say what has the focal point of the government or not, but it's right to be aware of the opening as well as be concerned that, as historically, as you know, these are moments when the government will take advantage of what we want, what we see, to fill it with something which will simply progress their power structure, their agenda. And so, you know, where we are right now, what's your advice to people with where we are, with what happens next, with choices they should be making? You know, how do we effectively, which is a big question, right? But how do we guide them us together in that direction of what we're talking about, you know?
Well, because number one, don't quit on America. I mean, I can understand why some people would, but don't quit on America. We have to have confidence in our own ability to affect the change that we desire in our government.
Right.
What does that mean? That means that some of us will be candidates, that some of us will be involved in campaigns, that some of us will attend a political event supporting someone, or an event where we state what we want as citizens.
Right.
And it's not just something we can do online. That one of the casualties of political involvement is to think that, well, you can actually get people to do something en masse online. That doesn't have the same impact as 9 million people being out in the streets of America on a No Kings Day.
Right.
People need to be visible. We need to step forward and be heard. It's never more important for people's voices to be heard. I don't care if someone's a Democrat, Republican, or independent. I basically am not interested in a partisanship. But I do believe that as Americans, if this country is going to survive, we have to stop the militarization of our economy. We have to stop using our military as a weapon instead of just, serving our country and standing by to defend it.
Right.
We're on the offensive. We must stop that. We must change America's role in the world to be a nation among nations, to be a beneficent force, which is what we all believed in when we were growing up. We're the good guys. We're not, you're not the good guys when you're out there participating in the murder of innocent people. You're not the good guys when you're bombing people because their leaders will not yield to your demands. We have to insist that our government take a new direction and to focus on things here at home.
Right.
I mean, we were warned at the beginning of our country, at the founding of it, to be aware of roaming the world, seeking monsters to destroy. Poverty is a monster here at home. Poor healthcare is a monster. Low wages, monster. Retirement security is threatened. That's a monster. Schools that don't have the resources to teach our children. That's a monstrous condition. So again, we focus on America. And in a sense, that is what America First was supposed to be about.
Right.
Not America über alles. America First was supposed to be about taking care of our own people here at home first.
Right.
Somehow that was twisted, distorted into, an approach of hubristic domination, imperialism, regime change. And it's not what we're supposed to be about. So we have to. This is a really important time for Americans to do some soul searching about what do we really want in a country. What is it? What do we want in our own lives? What are our practical aspirations? And for those whose aspirations are violence, we need to question that. We need to help people work through that. But for those whose aspirations to live in decent neighborhoods and to be able to have a life where you can enjoy friends, family, and to enjoy the blessings of liberty that we were promised, we have a lot of work to do to get there.
Yes, we do. And I still argue, whether left or right, but in this case, the right point of it, that I think most Republicans, conservatives that wanted America first are feeling lied to. And that's because what they wanted, whether we disagree on what that looks like, was not what Trump actually gave.
No, they were lied to. But the lie is is preliminary to the destruction of a nation.
Yeah. Well, what I mean is that they believe in wanting this country to be put first, regardless of what, if we disagree on what that looks like. And I
want America to be first for Americans.
Yeah, exactly. And what I was going to say is, I think it's important to think about that for a conservative out there or Democrat that recognizes the problem, but then holds back on calling it out because you feel like you're somehow challenging them, double crossing them, like you're going against your team. That's the what, when you're going against your team or going against this country is not saying something. It takes courage to stand up and call out the thing that is wrong, that is not America first, even if it goes against the person pretending to be America first. That's really important because so many people, I think, self-censor themselves today for fear that they're going to hurt the party's agenda, which, as we're highlighting today, is not America first, right? So I think Americans just need to find that courage and stand up and embody what Dennis was talking about. My larger opinion, is to hopefully go in a direction where we get away from government in general. But I think at the moment, it is important to lean into what gives us the freedom that we have within a system of statism. And I think that's what this is, at least fight for those elements of freedom and believe that we can make something change. And I think what we do every day, Dennis, does make things change. And I think we have to keep fighting for that.
Well, Ryan, thank you for that articulation. I believe that government, which governs least, governs best.
Right.
The hand of government has reached so sinisterly into America's individual lives. Here's a cell phone, and how many people think that our cell phone communications are free of prying? They're not. How many people think that, even this computer that I'm watching, that it somehow can't be used to dive deeply into someone's individual life? I mean, our right to privacy, which is, to me, central to who we are as human beings, chipped away. The Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act and the Patriot Act after 9/11, which passed without my vote, because I read it. Okay, I read it. Diminished us as Americans, and continues to through this Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, which gives the FBI the ability to look into anybody for any reason. This is crazy. And so, to me, being an American is to stand by the Constitution and to stand with the aspirations of Jefferson and Washington and Adams, and the instinct of a Lincoln to keep the country together, and the fortitude of a Roosevelt in a time of economic stress, to find a way to make sure the least of our brethren had a means of food and shelter. And you take Ronald Reagan, who, while I may not have agreed with some of his policies, he did something very special for America. He gave America a vision of a country that was bigger than all of us, that was a country of our dreams. He reminded us of that. This isn't about partisan politics. This is about us reconnecting to a deeper meaning of what America's about. And in a way, we have to relanguage that. We have to have these discussions. We should be having town hall meetings, not to just debate what's going on in Iran, and it should be debated, but to talk about what's America, what are we about, what do we want our country to be, what can we do to make it the America that we love. I mean, these are conversations that are essential to a reawakening of our instincts for liberty, for freedom, and the long-term survival of our republic.
Well said. I agree. And I think that's why this is so important. People need to have these conversations amongst yourselves, with your families, make a podcast. This is important. And now more than ever, in my opinion, as we discussed today, very much so think there's an opening right now, more than I've ever seen. I've only been doing this so long, but it's an opening, right? And so there's moments for change, and it's time to take advantage. So thank you, Dennis, for having this conversation. Your insight's important. And I hope people can listen, because I do believe it's quite obvious, and to take that opportunity. So any final words for us on the way out?
No, I like the bumper sticker on your computer there that says "Question everything."
Right.
That's what I did in Congress.
There you go.
And I'm not in Congress anymore, but I'll tell you, I'm glad that I asked the questions when I did, because as I asked Mr. Netanyahu when he said that he wanted the U.S. to attack Iraq in September of 2002, I asked them, who else would you bomb?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And we know the answer.
Right.
So
and the list is there on display. Go ahead.
Ryan, thank you for your personal commitment to freedom, because it's that instinct towards truly being free that we hope our Constitution will protect, that enables us to expand the deeper meaning of what it means to be human. So thank you, Ryan Christian, and see you again. Bye now.
Thank you, Dennis. Have a good one. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And as always, question everything. Come to your own conclusions. Stay vigilant.